Welcome everyone on today's webinar presented by Newired and Nextedy Systems. We will today speak about how to automate the Polarion onboarding with the in-application guidance. Newired is a digital adoption platform vendor. Nextedy is Siemens technical partner and also Newired partner. So we are presenting today, let's say, or co-presenting on this particular webinar. If you ask us why we believe that you are here today, we expect that you probably already deployed Polarion ALM system in your organization, or you are considering to deploy Polarion ALM, or you are maybe just expanding the usage of Polarion to other departments. So you know that you need to, let's say, onboard new people, to train new people. We also see very often that your processes are very likely customized, so you don't use the out-of-the-box configuration of Polarion, so you probably have adopted some of your own workflows, own reports, etc. And you may find your users struggling to follow these custom processes because, let's say, the guidelines provided by Siemens, of course, are focused on the out-of-the-box features, out-of-the-box configurations, and the available documentation can cover the stuff that has been customized by you. Or your users may not use Polarion properly, so you may have, let's say, you may struggle with achieving the expected results. You may, for example, let's say, need to get higher maturity regarding your ASPICE process, and you really see that your users are not, let's say, as fluent with using all those capabilities that should help with this objective. And you believe that, let's say, helping clients or helping your users to use Polarion better will have the impact on the process adoption. So that's where we come from. This is what we believe that you very likely struggle with or have as an objective, as a goal. And if so, I think that we really have something to present today, because let's say what we are presenting is a combination of Newired, a digital adoption solution, where the mission is really to reduce the distance between users, between people, and digital technology like Polarion. And this is a, let's say, complex task. According to Gartner, let's say most of the so-called digital transformations, and to some extent really rolling, let's say, the complex ALM processes globally across the organization, let's say, are the recognized as a digital transformation. And according to Gartner, most of the times it actually fails. By failure, we mean that the expected result was not fully materialized, the expected return of investment has not been achieved, etc. And if you ask yourself, let's say, what does it mean to you as a Polarion customers, we really see, based on, let's say, the 20 years of experience or more, that it is connected with the learning curve. So you train the people on the configuration, on the tool. The people, or we all, let's say, forget, so we need to be retrained. And then there is a change. I mean, today in the business environment, we often speak about agility, being able to respond to the dynamic external environment. So you would need to adjust your processes according to new regulations or according to the new market situations, etc. And with those adjustments, I mean, the people are frustrated because the configuration doesn't look the same, because the tool doesn't work the same, and then you need to retrain the people again. And for that, let's say the Newired as a solution for in-app guidance should really help with those objectives. And that's where I want to first go to the Polarion system to really present how those in-app guides or step-by-step guidance that you can connect actually to any web application, but today we speak about Polarion, how it actually look. So I go to the browser, okay, and here we have our demo server at Nextedy, and it's a almost, let's say, out-of-the-box configuration of Polarion. Let me log in. And what we want, we would like to, let's say, introduce Polarion to someone completely new. So you want to, let's say, get the first minute onboarding on a tool like Polarion. So you see, this is really the Polarion running in my Chrome browser, and there is this little help menu here, and I can start a so-called onboarding process. Where let's start with the first chapter, which speaks about a secure collaboration. So you know the three core pillars about Polarion: collaboration, traceability, reuse. So we implemented a core guidance based around those three core pillars. So it tells me that I should open the Drive pilot project. You immediately see that as I clicked on this instruction, the system, of course, performs the action in Polarion, but it also, let's say, expands the next step in the guidance. So it tells me that this is a Polarion project. I should click here on the requirements. It explains me that on the left I have the project navigator. It tells me now that I should click on the system requirements, but it also says that this page is a live report that can be customized to any customer needs. And I can follow through the guides like this, let's say, over multiple, let's say, pages. Now, I can follow and go through the step, but, you know, it's not only about being able to guide the users step by step through the onboarding, explaining what is on the screen, explaining what a traceability is, that, let's say, you have the concept of historical traceabilities, etc. It's really also about guiding people through a particular task. So now let's imagine that I don't want just to learn what the live document is. I don't want to learn about what a traceability is, but I want to create my first work package, for example, in a Drive pilot project. So I click here, help again. Of course, I can just start searching. So I want to create a new work package. So this journey, in this journey, we will help you to create a work item of type work package. So I click next. It tells me that I should click here on the work items. It tells me that I could click here on this plus symbol to expand the list of available work item types. I should click on the work package, enter the summary text. Of course, if I would be, for example, documenting the agile process, it's not just about documenting where should I click, what should I do, but also improve the data quality. I can document here what is a proper way of documenting the summary for a user story. What are the common terms that I should avoid when writing down the requirement? So this is my new work. And we see that with this flow, I was able to get the guidance to set up the work package in a very easy way with those on-screen step-by-step instructions. So to summarize, we have here the standard Polarion interface, and on top of the Polarion interface, we can, let's say, embed an on-screen layer. So something that connects directly to Polarion, and it can guide me through any particular process in Polarion, which you may need in your Polarion setup. And now this is a very good question, actually. So whatever I was presenting today so far is about the end user experience. So what the end user sees when he or she needs to receive some sort of guidance, or whenever I need to perform a use case, I can, let's say, request the system to get the step-by-step guide. But how does it actually look from the authoring perspective? So how is it possible to define such a guides and tutorials for the processes you have? You remember that on the first slide, when I was speaking about why we are here today, I mentioned that it's very likely because you have your own processes, your own workflows. So very likely also the guides, these step-by-step tutorials should be adjusted to the workflows you use internally. And for that, the Newired provides the solution, which is called the Newired editor. This is the is a package that you can use, or you can outsource the journey creation to other companies. Nextedy was delivering some of the content production services to several customers. But what I will be presenting today is the ability how you can, by yourself, design a first step-by-step guide. So I'm here on the on another server. For example, here I just want to show you that you can prepare a journey on a server and deploy it on another server. So whatever you prefer on your staging environment can later apply to the production environment, etc. So we are here in my in the official Siemens test drive server, and I want to show you how to create the guide we have seen a couple of minutes ago to how to create a work package. So it's a simple example, but it demonstrates a lot. So how to create a work package. So the step-by-step guide is called the journey, and it is a set of steps. So far, we'll speak about the, let's say, the linear steps. It goes just from the beginning till the end. So we start with a little introduction. So create a new work package. You will learn this and that. So what you are seeing is that I'm in the application called Newired Editor, which is a desktop application actually on my Mac. We have, of course, there is a version also for Windows. And the Newired Editor, let's say, contains a browser. So I have Polarion running in my Newired Editor, and I can actually create these steps using the sidebar on the right side. So the first step should be, it's a call out, so it's something that is connected with the on-screen element. The first step should be that I should click here on work items. I selected the work items just with my mouse. I move it here to the right side. Of course, I can change that the people should click on it. So this is the first step. What's the second step? Once I click on work items, I should click here on this little plus menu, right? So again, add new step, call out. I visually select this little plus symbol. I just click on it. And you know that we should change the transition to click on plus. And that's it. So this is the, let's say, the third step. Then another step, you already know how to do it. Call out, select the work package, move it here to the right side, and that's it. And the last one was that we should, let's say, fill in the title, right? So I add a new step, call out, enter work package title, confirm changes. So we have created our first step-by-step guide using the Newired Editor. Of course, I can try and test it here. So if we started, let me just move it here to the bottom. Go here. The Polarion was a bit not responding well. How to create? Yeah, so I can use the, let's say, the system to produce these little guides and tutorials. If I want to deploy it on production, I need to mark the journey as active. So now I completed actually the process of creating the guide and tutorial for this procedure that we have seen a couple of minutes ago. Of course, let's say this was a very simple example. So this example was showing how can I create this journey, click here, click on the plus, select the work package, and then enter the title. We see that it was disconnected, probably because I used the wrong transition. I would need to adjust it. But I know that some of the people on this webinar have already been introduced to this concept, and we want to, let's say, show you also something more complex, something which is which correspond to the real world requirements related to how the real world guides shall be actually created. So imagine that we want to help the user to select a project. But whenever I open this menu, I can select the project, but I can also select the project group. So what if the people have made mistakes in the walkthrough? So let's create a guide that will help the people to select the project. And if they don't select the project, we will actually remind user to select the project properly. So I would like to show you more advanced capabilities of Newired, because I think that considering that you are coming from the Polarion environment, you are probably exposed to really pretty complex procedures. So select Polarion project. So by default, we ask the user to click here on this link here, okay? Click here. And we want, as you know, a user to click there. This is the first step. The second step is that we want them to select a project here, which is anything which is simply has the blue icon. So again, we just select the callout. We select this little panel here, and we say select the project by clicking select the project. We can add some more text. The project is anything with blue icon. Okay, and I move it here to the right side. Now there are two options. And by the way, I should select the so-called transition, where the transition is how do you go from one step to the other. And the transition for this is a URL change. So you want to click not on this panel. I mean, the next step should be fired anytime the user actually performs any of these actions. So now there are two options. The first option is that you did not select a project. This happens, so you likely selected a project group. Why? How this can happen? This can happen anytime that I would actually select a project group. How do I find out that it's not that I did not select a project? Because in the URL there is no /project/segment. So we want to see this step. You did not select a project only if, so we add a rule, if the URL doesn't contain /project/. And what happens if this happens? I mean, what should be the next step? The next step is that I should repeat the procedure. So I want the user to jump back to the first step. So if I did not select the project, I should remind user, hey, you did not select the project, and the procedure should be restarted from the first step. Or we say, well done. And we of course can add let's say a graphical content, so it's not that you can only place the text there. I can also put some images, let's say inside of the content. So we built this journey which actually shall help a user to select a project. Okay, so let's play it. So we play this little journey. It tells me click here, I click there, it tells me select the project. If I select the project, it tells me well done. Okay, but what if I play the journey and I select the project group? Click here, I select the project group. It tells me you did not select the project, you likely selected a project group. I should click next, and now the journey will actually fail. Why does it fail? It fails because you remember that we should point the people to click here, but in the repository level, the text says default repository. If I select the project group, it says demo project. So what we should actually change here is that we added the first step and we adjust the criteria a bit. So here we see that there are some criteria that the Newired collects about the on-screen elements. And for the first step, we say that this click here should be connected with the element that says default repository. And this is what we need to disable. And if you run it now, you'll see what happens. So it tells me click on default repository. I click there, it tells me select the project. We already know that when I select the project, it works, but let's select the project group. It says you did not select the project, you likely selected the project group. And we are back on the step 1, and we can restart the procedure. Again, now when I select the project, it tells me, well done. So what we have learned? We have learned that Newired is much more than just what you can achieve with the YouTube videos, with the PDF manuals. Because we all make mistakes. We all, let's say, are working with the very complex processes. And during these processes, you may tell the guys to do something, but they may actually perform a different operation. And with Newired, you can actually respond also to these false conditions. What if I don't select the project? What if I don't create a work package and instead I create a system requirement? So, you know, you can really respond to the user behavior and truly guide the user through the, let's say, successful completion of the use case or a task or activity. This was a little more complex example that we are usually showing when presenting Newired, but I really believe that this is really something that you should know about Newired on-screen guidance, that it's really capable of defining the so-called conditions, rules, and also actions like go to the step 1 or step 2. Some of you have the engineering background and you know that whenever you have the system that has the if statement, so this is the rule, and you have the go-to statement, which is go to the step 1 or to 3, you have a base for the programming language. So you can actually implement a lot of dynamic behavior with those few Newired capabilities. So what we have seen how the journeys looks from the, let's say, end user perspective, how it helps user to go through a particular use case directly in my browser when I work with Polarion. I was showing you how easy it is for you to actually design these step-by-step guides for the processes you developed internally in your organization. Now let's go and speak about a few of the, let's say, benefits that we have seen with working with other Polarion customers. Of course, it's about the operational benefits. So with this, I mean, you can cut the training costs, reduce the internal support. At the end, I mean, the employee productivity shall increase. We have actually seen that while using Newired, around 53% of some of the internal training costs have been saved. But I think that more important is really the goal of ensuring the proper return of investment into Polarion itself. So because the users are working or are receiving these guides anytime they need, what we have measured is that actually they are more likely to use Polarion than before. And this, of course, has an impact of your process maturity, process quality, data quality, etc. We've seen that within 6 months, there was more than 20% more interactions with the underlying Polarion technology than before these step-by-step guides have been introduced into the organization. And last but not least, it's really not just about helping people to go through a particular use case, but also to improve process and data quality. By data quality, we really see that you can actually not just, let's say, document how to perform a specific, let's say, activity in Polarion, but what are the right data? As I said, what is the proper formulation of the user story? What is a proper, let's say, words that you should avoid when specifying the requirements? Everything what I was presenting today from the perspective of Nextedy and Newired, I mean, we are focusing today on Polarion customers, but you should actually understand that it works on any other web-based solution. I mean, it can be Salesforce, it can be Jira, it can be Viva CRM for the medical clients. We simply can work on top of any web application. And what are some of the key characteristics that make the Newired really the perfect fit for the Polarion clients? Because there are also other VAP platforms. Why Nextedy has, for example, chosen Newired versus, let's say, other platforms? I will name few which I really think they are important for Polarion clients. The first one is really, it's simple to use. So I was really able to actually document on, let's say, on this webinar, hopefully, how easy it is to create these guides and tutorials. But it must be also robust. And for Polarion, this robustness, it can be demonstrated very easily. If you actually have a look on some of these journeys that we have created, so for example, how to create a work package, we know that we can already see this criteria which are collected by the Newired system. And what you, for example, see here is that Polarion is using the very dynamic concepts when creating their user interface. What it actually means that the HTML provided by the Polarion ALM application has a lot of so-called dynamically generated IDs, also dynamically generated class names, and any other digital adoption platform on the market today fails on such coding concepts. In Newired, I can define so-called application profiles, and I can say that anytime, for example, the HTML element IDs start with DOM, it is the auto-generated ID, and I shouldn't trust it. Anytime the class name in HTML starts with GEF or has a very specific, let's say, format, I shouldn't trust it, because these IDs will change from one version of Polarion to the other. So with any other digital adoption platform, you would need to redo all these guides and tutorials anytime there is a new Polarion version. This is not the case with Newired, which from our perspective and supporting the Polarion clients, this is truly exceptional. What else? The second very important quality that we think every Polarion customers is looking for is security and privacy. And you know, Polarion is very often deployed on premises, which means that it's not in the cloud, it's hosted on your servers in your secure infrastructure. Newired is the only digital adoption platform on the planet that can run all the capabilities without any major, let's say, IT activities in-house on your premises or in the cloud, or there is also an option for the so-called hybrid deployment, that you have the editor actually in the cloud, but the runtime runs on your on-premise Polarion server. So first, what you should remember, it's capable to run 100% in your IT infrastructure. From the security and privacy, it's also about collecting user data. So even if you would decide for the, let's say, SaaS variant, so the data to be at the Newired cloud, Newired doesn't collect any personal data unless you really specify so. And by personal data, I mean, in this case, namely if you want to have a proof who has been, for example, trained, then you may actually configure Newired to collect this information about who has been trained and who not yet. But this is 100% optional feature, so you can deploy Newired with zero data collection at all. And there are some even more, let's say, important features that I find very complementary to Polarion itself. And these are the content versioning, the FDA approvals, electronic signatures, or especially how can I ensure that the content that I create with the Newired editor goes through the quality gateway. So, you know, for example, as we were working with some medical customers, they said the guides themselves also shall be reviewed from the functional safety point of view, because if the people are misguided, it may have the functional safety impact. So the changes should be reviewed and tested before you actually go live with the adjustments to the procedures. And what we have seen is that we have, you remember, we created few of these, let's say, guides using the Newired editor. But when I go back to my web browser and I refresh it, I wouldn't see them yet here. So what I see here is I don't see here how to create a work package and select Polarion project. It's simply not here yet. Why is it so? Because I was not speaking yet about a third component that is really important for the Polarion clients, which is the so-called Newired portal. The Newired portal is a system that is designed to cover several major use cases. Of course, it can give me the analytics view about who is using the journeys, who has been trained, etc. But it also provides the versioning component. So what I can do is that I see that there are some changes pending. These are the changes that we made in our editing environment. I can submit the changes for review. So this is, webinar journeys, and I want to submit it for the review. In this moment, I've created a new version, but this version is not yet live. So the people are still on the version 74, which means that I'm still, when I refresh my screen, I still see the very old content. There is no how to create a work package journey yet here. What I can do, I can send it to testers and I can say, hey, just preview it. In this case, only when I send a link, only the testers will be able to see the content we have just created. If you would go to our demo server, you wouldn't see it yet. So now when I refresh it and I go to help, I should see it here. And from whatever reason, I haven't seen it, which is strange. Let's see. Oh, here. There has been some updates. Honestly, I don't know why we are not seeing it, but probably because we have been on a different server that I was creating the journey on the ALM demo server, and the preview works only on the ALM demo server. But you get the point. I mean that I should be able now to test it if I would log in now to the official Siemens server. And only once I'm done, I can export it, for example, to Microsoft Word. And whenever I export it, I will see the version of entire content as it was released in this given moment. And this can be actually electronically signed with the screenshot. So for example, here, let me just make it bigger, just so you know what it is. We have the actual documentation about every step of my procedure with, let's say, the content, with a screenshot, step by step, really whatever we have seen before in the system. So this can be now electronically signed in your document management system and provided to your auditors just as a proof that that's the content, that's the process that you have followed to make the guides reviewed and tested, etc. And once I'm done, I can mark my version as live. And whenever I mark it as live, so this is the final, if I have the permissions, this is the moment when I should see all the changes available in my live interface, so the end users should be able to see it. So when I click here on select the Polarion project, you see that I should click here. If I select here a project, it tells me well done. But if I would select the project group, it would fail. If I run here the how to create a work package, this is the journey that we have created a couple of minutes ago when I was demonstrating what to do. We see that it runs. It tells me that I should click on the work items and just perform the operation as we have seen in the editor. So the Newired also comes with the robust versioning system that helps me to review the changes before they go live. It can also help me to roll back to any previous versions or test on different browsers, share it with the preview, share the preview with the test groups, etc. And what else? Multi-application support. Imagine that you have this PLM ALM integration between Teamcenter and Polarion. So what we see is that the users shall not just get the guides and let's say the help in one system only, because very often to complete a given standard operating procedure, I need to work with a toolchain. I may just create a change request in Teamcenter first, then go to Polarion, create a software change request there, and go back to Teamcenter to update some specific dashboard. All these, let's say, step-by-step guides that we have seen today are actually running not just in the scope of one application like Polarion, but it can also cover a multi-application or tool chain situation that the user has to work with multiple tools to perform a specific operation. If we speak about the multi-application support, there is also multi-language support. So if you want the, I mean, you know that Polarion is a single language system, so everything, I mean, you can translate it to Chinese or Japanese environment, but in this case, let's say all the users receive the same language variant. With Newired, you can actually deploy these guides and tutorials and have them translated easily into multiple languages. So you just define it once and using the industry standard tool based on the XLIF format. The XLIF is a standard for content translation in the software world. So your translators, your translating department doesn't need to be trained on Newired. All what they do, they just go to this Newired portal, they go to translations, they download the translation package, the users will translate it using the industry standard tools, they send you the translation back, you upload it, and you are done. And from this moment, the system may speak a different language, not a Polarion, but it's still valuable that your colleagues in China may receive the guides in their local language. Last but not least, from the pricing point of view, I think what is really important is that the Newired doesn't charge for the number of journeys or on the content you create. So you can create as many guides and tutorials you like. It's actually, you can have as many users creating these guides and tutorials. Let's say the pricing is very simple. The more Polarion users you have on your Polarion server, the more you pay for the guides and tutorials. This is straightforward and fair from our point of view. So to wrap it up, I think there is a great solution for user guidance and onboarding that just works, especially in the context of Polarion, and this is where we speak today. Simple and robust, covers all the peculiarities of, let's say, Polarion case with the auto-generated HTML IDs, auto-generated class names, unlike any other digital adoption platform on the world. Security and privacy, on-premise installation fully covered. Workflows and versioning to actually, for those who are, let's say, coming from the functional safety world, which most of you probably are, and you would need the guides and tutorials to be properly versioned, reviewed, etc. It's not just about Polarion if you use multiple tools, and it's not just Teamcenter and Polarion. It could be Polarion and GitHub. Polarion and GitHub. I mean, it's really up to you which tool chain you actually use in your organization. The system connects natively to any web-based system. You can also speak multiple languages, and from the pricing perspective, it's quite straightforward. The more users you have, the more you actually pay. So that's what we wanted to present you today as representing two companies here, Newired and Nextedy. Nextedy as a Siemens technical partner and Newired partner. Newired as a software vendor that actually delivers this great digital adoption platform to any potential client on the world. I would like to go now to the Q&A session. So I hope that you will have some questions. Let's see. So how do you integrate Newired with Polarion? So this full webinar was about how do you actually integrate it, but maybe you speak really about the close process of how does it happen that, let's say, this on-screen guide appears on top of your Newired or Polarion interface. There are actually two options. One option is that you can use a so-called browser extension. So in this moment, this is a very great approach if you just want to test Newired, for example, on top of your Polarion system. The great news announced by Siemens, I think in the version 22R2, so the last year. So if you search for Polarion 22R2, there is a special snippet that allows you to extend Polarion with any on-screen, let's say, element. Here, Polarion user interface customization with HTML snippets. So, unfortunately, yeah. So the Polarion out of the box now supports ability to extend or deploy some of the custom HTML elements and scripts out of the box with the new Polarion APIs. So this is very easy way that using just the configuration properties on the server. So if I go to the administration, to the default repository, and to the configuration properties, you can use the so-called script injection attribute, which is documented now with ALM 22R2. And this is the way how you can actually connect Newired content with your Polarion application. For those who are not using this version yet, 22R2, there are alternative options with some, server-side customization, which let's say enables you to deploy Newired on top of Polarion. So it is possible for older versions as well. With the newer version, it's just very comfortable just using the Polarion administration interface. Let's go to the other questions. Still have 1 minute. Is it possible to pre-filter journeys depending on the role of the user have? So the system role will only see system journeys and general one. Yes. When I was speaking about the rule engine, there is an ability for the external application, in this case Newired, to provide additional information to the Newired server using the so-called custom property rule. So you can, for example, pass from Polarion to Newired an information about a system role, and then you would say that only the users with the system role, for example, system engineer, will be able to see a specific journey. So yes, it is definitely possible to have a more close integration, and Newired or Polarion API can be used to actually derive the information about the logged in user, and this information is passed to Newired, and based on that you define some of the visibility rules and say that this is visible only for system engineers, this is visible only for requirements engineers, etc. Can you add HTML links to the content? Absolutely, you can add any content. So it's actually, so the question is, if you have a specific journey with the steps and we edit it, we can use this big editor, which of course provides an options to insert any HTML links. But you can also implement a so-called widgets. So the Newired, similar as Polarion, has the API to extend the capabilities. For example, you can embed a survey, where the survey can actually, you define your questions and you say, okay, I want to insert that into my my panel or into my content, and you see that now the step contains a questionnaire. You can put their links, you can implement your own custom applications, you can embed your knowledge base articles if you use, I don't know what systems. So absolutely you can put any content into this floating elements on the screen. So what else? Next, changing URL. Does the tool allow us to open another URL? Example, a detailed training slide stored at SharePoint site, access it, and then return to continue the journey. So in this case, I would recommend probably to open it in a new tab. So I would because going there to SharePoint and then going back to Polarion, it is possible. So when I was speaking about the multi-application journey that you start, I don't know, in Polarion, then you go to GitHub, and then you go back to Polarion, this is possible. I don't know if your question is really coming from the direction that this is just another, let's say, slide content that should help with the training. Then I would really recommend that you put there just the link, and you can open the content in a new tab, and then once you are done, you go back. This would be my recommendation, very likely. If an internal process changes, is it possible to make the new process pop up? Absolutely. So you can take the, let's say, any of these so-called journeys that you have created, and you can adjust them. Of course, now the question is, do you want to keep the old version? What is the, should the old version be archived? So in this case, very likely, I will just take the procedure and I would say, okay, I can duplicate it. So I would create a variant, and I would just adjust the variant, and maybe the previous variant that I will just let's say deactivate, so it will not be visible to the end users. So there are several options how to handle the change management system inside of the Newired. Let's have a look if there's anything else. What web browsers are supported? Generally, any web browser that is supported by Polarion is supported by Newired as well. That's what I know. So it means Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, but also the Firefox, even Safari is well supported. So on the Newired side, you have more limitations on the Polarion side that compared to the Newired, let's say, compatibility metrics. Can you group the journeys rather than a long list? Absolutely. I love this question because I realized that I was not presenting this functionality today. What you can build is the so-called playbooks. And the playbooks is something that we haven't been speaking about today because the time was limited, but you can build the playbook. For example, this is a requirements training. Okay, and I can say that this requirements training will have some of the journeys that I can just drag and drop which of them they are. And starting now, if the user will click on this help, you see that there is this requirements playbook on the top. When I click on it, I see which journeys are inside. I even see which of them has been completed by me, which of them not. So I see that I'm in the 50% of my let's say training. So yes, you can group it to any number of playbooks. So here we have just one. The playbook can be also, let's say, limited to certain visibility rules, etc. So I can deploy another playbook called, I don't know, a power user training, and just again define which journeys are these, and have, let's say, a different playbooks, which is just like a playlist in Spotify for your journeys. So yes, you can definitely group the journeys together by feature, component, etc. You can group them. Anyhow, if you speak about the tagging, we have the tagging, or there is a tagging for tips for journeys, not yet. In the Newired portal, is the Newired portal needed, or can I use the journeys without the portal? You can use the journeys without the portal. The portal is there only for the content administrators to actually publish the new version. So the end user can see the journeys 100% without any, with nothing else than just opening the Polarion interface. Can you have multi-layer playbooks? I don't know that. We will respond via support. Possible to group steps and give a headline to this group. Questions possible to reuse steps in different journeys. Now, these are starting to be advanced questions. So the grouping of the steps, I think it's not possible in the current moment. The reusing of the steps, yes, you can jump from one journey to another journey, like to a sub journey, and have like the procedural journeys that are there just being reused between different processes. So the second question is yes. Can the playbooks journeys be copied, moved to a different server, reused from one server to another? Absolutely. Using the Polarion server or the Newired server, always I mess it up. You can export data to your local file system and import it on any other Newired server. But what is also important is what we see, that you can also build the content in a way that it runs on any Polarion server. So you can prepare the journey, what I was presenting today. I was preparing the journey on the ALM demo server, but I showed you that I can run the same journeys on our Polarion demo nextedy.com server. So you can have the content distributed over multiple servers without a need to copy and paste it. The only thing what you actually do is that in the configuration properties, you actually specify where do you download or where the Newired server actually is. In this case, we store the Newired on this demo newired.com, and in Polarion we says that the journeys should be downloaded directly from the demo newired.com. In your case, it could run on premise, and you can deploy it from your local server or server in the cloud, doesn't really matter. How to open in a new tab? Can you show this step, please? So let's see if I will be capable of doing so. So whenever I open a link, let's say https google.com, this is a link to a SharePoint slide. Open a link in a new tab, insert, save it. So in this moment, whenever I run a journey, it will open it in a new tab as you have asked for. I'm showing you this in the editor, but the same it will look when using it as an end user. I think that we are really at the end of our session, but let me just check one last question. Possibly to export, import defined revision version, not ahead. This is, you need to understand that there are two, that versioning is related to the publishing process. So the versions are being defined anytime you actually create a new or submit the changes. But you can download any version, which means it's a local snapshot, and you can bundle this version with your Polarion server. So what you can do, you can download a specific version, bundle it with Polarion, and anytime, I mean, you can just bundle another one. So this is like a compiled version of this guides and tutorials. So it's not the source code, but it's the compiled version of the runtime. Thank you for all those questions. I mean, this is, I love it. Most of the time when I run the webinars, there are not so many questions. So I'm really happy about that. So I hope that if you would stay interested, you will contact us. We will share the recording anyway with you. And we can stay in touch and help you to actually automate the process or user onboarding over your Polarion environment. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Have a great day. Bye.